Hey, yo, it's Z100, New York's #1 hit music station. I'm Josh Martinez with our guests from TNA Wrestling, Casey Navarro, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, the living legends, the Hardy Boys. What's going on, gentlemen? What's up? What's up?
Good morning.
Hanging out, having a great time in New York, man. Super excited. We have on July 20th, Slammiversary is going to be at UBS Arena.
Yep.
And it may very well be the biggest TNA show ever.
It's shaping up to be that way. When you guys come in and you guys sign with TNA and you start doing your thing and you see this massive building on the schedule for their huge event, do you guys feel any additional pressure being kind of the veterans that are going to help lead the way?
No, I don't really. It's just been the last year. It's been so exciting, just feeling the growth and the evolution of TNA in 2025. So more than anything, it's exciting as to how many people's actually going to show up.
It is exciting. TNA is in such a great resurgence. It's been white hot recently. But I will say, I do feel like we're out doing this media. We are two of the top draws, and I do want to push tickets. I want to sell tickets, and I hope we can be a part of that. So that is a little nerve-wracking in some ways. Like, I know it is our job at the end of the day to be like, come in and be the cleanup hitters and hit a home run, hit a grand slam, and that's what we're trying to do.
So now, using that analogy, Casey, as the leadoff guy, batting number 2 in the lineup, what's that pressure like for you? Because it's basically a hometown show, but also you have something to prove, not only to your peers, but to icons that are working alongside with you, right?
Sure, man. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the last time I was here, I was saying, hey, I believe I'm going to have a major role on the show. I need to have a major role on the show. And here I am. I'm in the same match with the Hardys in a match that they made famous for tag team titles. So, yeah, is there pressure? For sure, but it's nothing I didn't see coming, man. You know, I spoke it out into existence, and I believe that once I get something like an opportunity like that in my hands, I'm ready to knock it out of the park, man.
How crazy is it, like, growing up, watching these dudes on your TV with your family, and now all of a sudden you are working with them?
It's still surreal. I always bring up the story of when I signed with TNA back in October. When I first got brought in, it was the end of August. Yeah. I remember I had my first 2 matches, and after my second match, they offered me my contract, and they look at me and they go, oh, you got to go cut a promo because the next show you're wrestling the Hardys. I was like, my third match is the Hardys. Did my match with the Hardys. I came to the back, and Tommy Dreamer looks at me and goes, are you crying? I go, yeah, I just wrestled the Hardys in a sold-out place, man. So, yeah, I mean, it's so surreal. It's so cool, but getting to learn from them and be around them, that's the coolest part for me. At
what point did you guys realize that you are legitimately changing the game forever when it comes to tag team wrestling?
You know, it's a tough question to answer. I think when you're actively doing it, and we were just in such the mode of go when we were doing WWE stuff. I think after we had the tag team ladder match against Edge and Christian, we knew we had done something special because that changed the game from us. We went from being wrestlers to superstars. Our reactions were different every single night following that, and it really elevated us to the next level. I want to say after we started doing the Triangle Ladder match at WrestleMania 2000, TLC 1 at SummerSlam, TLC 2 at WrestleMania 17, I feel like after all that happened, we realized like we are part of a movement. Like we have changed the game. Like TLC is a staple of pro wrestling.
Pay-per-view now. It's a PLE now.
Yeah, and it's Full Metal Mayhem and TNA. It has, but it is something that will last for eternity. It's infinite now in pro wrestling, and it's something we created. We were 2 of the 6 forefathers of it.
Yeah, that tag team ladder match with Edge and Christian changed our paths like big time, because all we knew and all wrestling fans knew was the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon ladder match. We studied that thing so hard, and we would recreate that match so much on the indies, but then to get to do it in a tag team form that was a game changer for us.
So that was No Mercy 99. So then fast forward a little bit, there's an iconic spear at WrestleMania 17 with Edge, you swinging. Who came up with that spot? I'm sure you've told the story 1,000 times, but it's just fascinating because it is now in like this lexicon of wrestling clips that 100%. We see all the time to this day in 2025.
It is one of the most iconic spots in all of pro wrestling.
So who came up with it? What was the thought?
I take credit. We were the night before. I like picked the ladder up with my legs as I was holding onto the thing. It was kind of like moving around with it. And I always say it felt like a big spider. I know that don't make any sense, but it felt like a big spider. But evidently Rhino was out there and he had something to do with it.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, he was the one suggested, because we said like Adam Edge had to jump to spear him, obviously, but then Jeff, if he's just sitting there, if he spears them, it's a possibility he could rotate over on his head, and that's super dangerous. I mean, he's 14 feet up in the air, 15 feet up, whatever it is where he was hanging. So Rhino actually had an idea. He said, what if his feet were in the ladder like that, and you pulled him back, and he could get momentum where he could swing into it, and then Adam's coming this way, and then they meet in the middle, and they're able to go down, and it should cover everything where people could bump a little more safely. And that's kind of how that came to be. It was just kind of sitting there, just kind of like shooting the breeze, talking about things to do in the match.
And you can't like practice. That's
a one take, man.
That's only when the red light is on.
Sure, one take Jake is what your new gimmick becomes. Wildest bump you've ever taken, Matt? Do you have one that comes to mind immediately?
The thing I think that hurt me so much, I mean, I've been doing leg drops for 12, 13 years at this point, was when I did the leg drop off the cage on Edge. And protected him greatly, and my lower back and hips and pelvis, they still hate me right now.
Jeff, does one come to mind for you?
Oh, for sure, man. Like it kind of started when I was working Bobby Lashley here in New York, man, and I missed the Swanton on the stairs for the first time ever, and it got such a great reaction. But then later on, I was having a cage match with James Storm, and there was some spot to where I was trying to escape, and somebody opened the door, so I was balancing on the door of the cage, and then whoever was outside, I ended up crotching myself on the door, but then James came with the cowbell and hit me, and then it swung the door back, and I took a bump to the stairs and then to the floor, and it was just like super smooth.
So when you see someone like Casey who gets excited and wants to do certain things, how many times have you been told no already, just for the sake of your body?
Definitely more recently, a lot more, for sure. I've definitely been told no a lot more, for sure, recently.
So what advice would you have, Jeff, for someone like Casey who's like, hey, I have this great idea, and it's like, your body, you could do it now, but you're gonna pay for it in about 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I would just say in the moment, man, if you feel it, and I've always had that feeling of, oh, this is scary, but I feel good about this. I feel like I can do it. And as long as you trust your intuition, I say roll with it, man. If you can pass it to the higher ups and they allow it, man, just go all the way with it.
So, Matt, when it comes to kind of evolving the character, I would say that you have done a really good job of kind of evolving through the last couple of decades. Was there a particular gimmick that you would say just doesn't get appreciated the way it should? And why is it Mattitude?
Yeah, you're right. Well, that actually,
Dude, the Mattitude facts on the side to this day, me and my siblings recite some of them for no particular reason other than like Matt doesn't like mayonnaise on his sandwich or whatever like it happens to be.
Yeah. Matt strongly dislikes mustard.
And the MFers was so great, man.
Yeah, that was like, well, I felt that was a great opportunity for me because Jeff is the epitome of what the Hardy Boys represent, right? He's this guy, an adrenaline junkie, not afraid of anything, fearless. He'll do all these high-risk, crazy maneuvers, a rock star. And I feel like I can do that to a degree, but like my strength is when I get to play a character that's kind of over the top, larger than life, almost delusional. And Matt Hardy version 1 was that. Mattitude was like this religion that I was pushing on people, and because of Mattitude, I had it, and I was more special than everybody else. So that was great. And I remember when I told them, even the Windows Media Player screen that was there, I suggested doing stuff based on the internet because I said, I remember telling The Office in WWE, I said, the internet's growing rapidly. I think it's going to play a big part in wrestling when it's all said and done. I think this would be cool. It's kind of like ahead of its time, and I'm version 1. It's kind of a play on the internet and everything. And they go, look, Matt, I know you think this internet is going to be a big deal in pro wrestling, but it's not. Kind of get over it. Look where we're at now. You can't go 30 seconds without seeing a social media post by some company. It's all over the place and obviously helps sell things, and it opened up so many new windows for pro wrestling. So just doing that was so much fun, and I think that run could have been a lot greater. It started off great. Vince was there fully behind me. There were a couple things, injuries and things happened, but it really is one of my favorite characters. My 2 favorite characters are Broken Matt and Matt Hardy version 1.
So when it came to the Broken, Woken Matt character, is there anything that you feel that fans misunderstood about the character, if anything?
I think it took them a little while to understand what I was going for, because I wanted to do a throwback to the days of Papa Shango, to the original Undertaker when he was Magic, Supernatural, whatever else. I said, let me try that. Everybody's so athletic now. I'm older, I'm a little beat up. Let me try to do character work and see if I can make it happen. And whenever we first started doing Broken Matt and the Broken Matt, we didn't want to take ourselves too serious. We wanted it to be a little campy, a little over the top, a little cartoonish, much to a throwback of how wrestling was way back in the day and that period it had. And I think at first there were people that said, oh my God, this is great. It's a throwback. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen, because these guys are going back to old school. It's kind of like a cartoonish character. I love it so much. The other half, the internet fans, the sickos, whatever, these guys were saying, like, this is the worst trash I've ever seen in my life. It's terrible. It's awful. What are the Hardy Boys doing? They're going to screw up their legacy, everything else. But it was so polarizing, and it got so much intense feedback. People were talking, and I knew we were onto something. And we just stayed the course, man, and kept doing it, and eventually it became the biggest thing in wrestling.
So, Casey, you weren't really around during Papa Shango and the original iteration of The Undertaker. So when you're starting out in the wrestling industry, kind of college age, if you will, and you see this happening on TV and all over social media, that's how I discovered it originally, with social media.
Yeah.
What's your thought process? Like, these guys are doing things that I don't remember them doing when I was in middle school.
I honestly loved the whole thing. I'm so into character work and all that stuff because, in my opinion, I feel like that's what really makes it right now. Like, the moves are great. I know it's kind of crazy coming from a young guy saying, like, oh, I sound like a young veteran. Oh, the moves are cool. But I honestly think the character work is what develops the connection to the audience. So when Matt was doing all that with all the different characters and stuff, I was fully invested in it.
So WrestleMania 33, you're probably watching along with everybody else, right? And then this massive surprise happens. Do you remember where you were in your reaction?
Yeah, I was hanging out. Oh, man, I'm putting them over. This is sad. But I was hanging out with my boys, Tyler and AJ. We were at my friend Tyler's house, and we were sitting there watching, and the New Day came out, and we're like, oh, what's going on? I remember just sitting back going, man, why do I got like a really good feeling about this? And my friends were like, man, the New Day are putting themselves in this. I was like, nah, man, I don't know. When that music hit, man, we all just jumped and started losing our minds, man. Like, it was wild seeing them.
Do you guys go back, Jeff, and watch that entrance on YouTube or Twitter if it happens to pop up on the timeline?
Oh, I see it all the time, and I'm so proud of it. And that's probably my number one moment, like,
really?
out of all of our stuff that we've done, man. Because there was a time, my second run in TNA, I was like, man, I'll probably never be back in the WWE. But for that to actually happen, and the build up to that, from Broken Matt creating this Expedition of Gold thing, it just still blows my mind how it all ended with finally, becoming the WWE champions at WrestleMania. It was insane.
Matt, do you, when it pops up, are you like, hey, kids, come over here. Let me show you what Poppy could do, what Poppy did one time.
Right, yeah, no, I have forced them to watch, I think. No, it's so cool. Don't tell anybody, but I was with Triple H about 6 months in advance, and we booked it all out. I wish that was real, but it's not. But no, the ironic twist of fate ended up taking how we ended up winning all the tag titles was so cool. We were the TNA tag champs, we were the Ring of Honor tag champs, and then we win the WWE tag titles. It's a great moment, and we do see it all the time. And it's so crazy how the further we get away from that moment, I think the more important it becomes to me, because it really was such a special moment. And much like Jeff says, it is 100% one of the top 3 moments of our career, no doubt. And there are so many people who said, oh my God, I was there at WrestleMania and I did this, and I'm so glad. I was going to go to the bathroom, I was going to go to the concession, and I'm so glad I did. And it was an iconic moment. And there were so many videos all across the world. There were people in Japan, people in Germany, people in Australia that were losing their minds at us coming out. It was just such an amazing moment, and I'm so grateful we were given that opportunity, and I'm so grateful it turned out like it did.
I think one of the coolest things is that it was a way for fans to give you your flowers, and I think that we need to do a better job as a society to give flowers while people are still around, rather than waiting for the career to be done, or even worse, right, or decades later, and it's like, oh, here's the flowers for this person. And I think that was just a beautiful opportunity, and that's been almost wild that it's been almost fucking 10 years now, by the way. And you guys are still out here grinding and hustling. Is there a match or a program that comes to your minds where you guys didn't get the flowers you think it properly deserved?
Trying to think of something. Well, something I thought was really good that it wasn't on a huge network at that time. It was very hard to get TNA. But whenever I ended up doing a double turn with EC3 in our Falls Count Anywhere match, and I became the bad guy, he became the good guy, and we had a little program for a while. I think my program with EC3 is one of the best I've ever done, and I think that Falls Count Anywhere match where we did the double turn is my most underrated match in my career.
Okay.
So that was one thing I think doesn't get the love or flowers, and I agree with you, man. We need to do that in every capacity. Every human being that is alive and living, while they're alive, appreciate them for what they've done.
What about you, Jeff?
There's just one thing that comes to mind. I don't know what Royal Rumble it was. It might have been when we were like first or second. Were we first and second, or were we really early when we came out there?
First and second, 2001, or 2001. Which Drew Carey was part of that one too.
Yeah.
You guys went out together.
Yeah.
You and someone else was first and second, and I was third.
Okay. But anyway, the way we did the elimination, like we both got eliminated, and this is what I'm trying to describe. But I had my fishnet shirt on, and I took it off somewhere during the match and had it around my waist or something. But it was so genius in my opinion. Like the shirt was connected to Matt's belt or something. If you watch it in slow motion, you can see what's going on. But like, and my shirt being connected to him like pulled me off of the top rope to where we both were eliminated.
Yep.
You know, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever, the coolest elimination. So.
That was one with Drew Carey.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Drew Carey eliminated the Hardy Boys.
And in the record books, he was the only one in the ring when it happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
He was like, please don't touch me, guys.
So Casey, when it comes to kind of being in TNA, not only with the Hardys, but a lot of other kind of living legends that are back there, when do you realize, like, okay, I belong here? When does it stop of like the, I don't want to say kind of the fan girling or whatever, if you will, but kind of like, you know what, I belong here. I'm here for a reason. If that even has stopped.
I think it happened my first day, or the day that they told me I was wrestling them.
Okay.
Because I think that was the biggest challenge they could have gave me. Like I walked in, my first night was for the tag team titles against Chris Bay and Ace Austin, wrestled them again. Then right away they're throwing me against the Hardys, and then my fourth match was Joe and Nick Nemeth, which were their other two top guys. So once I knew that I got through the match with the Hardys and I cried it out, I was like, yeah, I definitely belong here. I could definitely hang with these guys. And I mean, I've been in the company for 8 months, and I can say I've wrestled all the main event guys, the Hardys, Nick Nemeth, Joe Hendry. I did the NXT thing. It's kind of wild. I've had a wild 8 months, so I definitely feel like I belong.
Now, going into the NXT thing a little bit, when you find out, hey, this is what the creative is, and now you are going to be on WWE television, on growing up here in this market, Warner Brothers on Channel 11, right? Now it's Pix.
Yeah.
What was the first thought that came to mind?
I made it. I did it. Yeah, because it was very unexpected. I wasn't even supposed to wrestle the day that I found out. It was Under Siege. AJ Francis, my partner, was going to wrestle Mike Santana, and then I heard that it got switched, and I was wrestling Mike Santana, but we didn't understand why. And then when we got pulled to the side and we were told, "Hey, we're going to send you guys to NXT. Casey needs a big match. We're going to put him with Mike," I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, if I can get through this match with Mike, this is it right there. But I was like, wow, man. I mean, I just thought back to everything I went through, growing up, getting bullied, being told I'd never see those bright lights, never share a locker room with guys like this. And it was like, man, I thought I made it when I shared a locker room with them, and I never thought I'd even be a part of the crossover. And then when we were told that they specifically picked us, it was a blessing, man. It was cool.
How exciting is it for you guys? Because you guys were on NXT a few months ago, the New York City show, I believe.
Yes.
When you guys are backstage kind of seeing all this up-and-coming talent, well, what's that excitement level for you guys? Because, I mean, I'm sure it's exciting for you.
It was super cool for me. I was with WWE like during the pandemic, and I spent a lot of time at the Performance Center. But when we went there, it was Matt's first time ever there, right? And so that was just kind of bizarre in itself. But just being back to where it all kind of started, and overall with our careers, man, WWE just feels like home, and it's where it was meant to begin and where it's kind of meant to end. So yeah, it's a good feeling to come out to, especially here in New York at NXT, man. The team Fraxium that are on a different level when it comes to speed and all that stuff. But to be able to go out there and have a good match with them and feel all that energetic love, man, from the people, man, was just so overwhelmingly cool.
It was great, and it was so much fun. And Tommy Dreamer, who's kind of like the head guy in charge of booking here at TNA now, he has put us in a position to succeed. And if you do that, there's still a lot of equity in Matt and Jeff Hardy, because we can still go at a pretty high level. Obviously, we can't do what we did 25 years ago. Things have changed a little bit. But we were in there with Fraxium, and once again, Shawn Michaels and NXT, they followed that exact same formula, and we showed how much of a home run and a grand slam we can hit if given the opportunity.
Who would you guys say is the most underrated performer that you see out there today, whether it's in another company or someone that's maybe caught your eye on social media? Anybody comes to mind for you too?
That's a good question, especially when you say underrated. I mean, I would have said that, and I'm glad they got caught up to the main roster, because Fraxium really is, and size doesn't matter quite as much in this day and age. But when it comes to working in the ring and the style they work, I mean, they're much like KC. Size has gotten smaller, which is cool. We were some of the guys that helped blaze the trail to like make size a little smaller, because nobody wrestled at our size back in the day. Us, Edge and Christian, everything else in the styles has changed. So I would say Fraxium is one team that I am glad they are getting their flowers now, and they're on the main roster, and hopefully they get bigger and better opportunities.
I love that. Jeff, anyone come to mind, or I'm stifling a little bit? It's all good. It's all good. When it comes to kind of the legacy of the Hardy Boys, what do you guys want people to remember about the two of you?
I think I want them to remember that we were groundbreakers, that we were trailblazers. You know, we came in, we opened up doors for guys that were smaller. We opened up doors for guys who worked a different style. We opened up doors for people who wanted to do things out of the box and present wrestling and tell stories in a different way. For instance, we, used inanimate objects like tables, ladders, and chairs, and we made that into something iconic, which is a staple of pro wrestling now. Even later on, I think we both kind of reinvented and set the stage for the new cinematic style of matching when we did the final deletion and everything else. We were never afraid to change. I was always up for doing something and thinking out of the box, thinking out of the ordinary. I want all that to be part of our legacy, and then I also want people to remember that we always gave back. It was important to us when we were there. The vets in the 90s, it was the Wild Wild West. They didn't really share their secrets. They didn't really give you a ton of advice. You kind of had to figure it out as you went, and you had to learn through learn by trial and error, and also learn through experience. But now we are very happy to give back and say, this is what you should do, or maybe do this, KC, or maybe do this, or whatever. Whatever guy that's there, especially someone who has a great attitude and you can see something happening for them.
Jeff?
I would definitely like to be remembered and known as like maybe or one of, but maybe the most authentic and original human beings to ever do it, man.
So, Casey, if you had to say one nice thing about the Hardys, what comes to mind for you? You have to say at least one nice thing now. You put them over enough, but one more, a little cherry on top.
Man, I feel like there's not enough words to like put them over with. I mean, I could probably be here all day. But I think it's just like Matt said, like they give back, like they really do. Like I said, I'll never forget my first match with them. I was really nervous, but they were not hesitant to let me do my thing out there. So that's one thing that I'm grateful for when it comes to the Hardys, for sure.
So you guys have been around for quite some time. So obviously there's a lot of fan questions. So we'll try to do rapid fire. Daniel Nutty wants to know, what is your dream retirement match? Matt, do you have one that comes to mind?
Myself and Jeff versus Edge and Christian in a ladder match.
Jeff, do you have one that comes to mind?
Hey, that sounds good.
Sounds like it could make some money, too. Justin Havner, we'll start with you, Jeff. What match do you love the most in your career?
As far as the tag team realm of pro wrestling, the first ever tag team ladder match, but then in my singles career, definitely the Underdog versus the man match with The Undertaker.
Matt?
I would say that the tag team ladder match at No Mercy 99, that's the match that put us on the map. As far as the singles match goes, myself versus Edge in the cage, or myself versus Jeff at WrestleMania 25. That was also another dream we got to live out.
TJ Waters wants to know, who inducts you into the Hall of Fame?
Michael Hayes, without a doubt.
Is it true that he came up with all these ideas to hurt you guys? not intentionally, but like all this crazy shit that you guys did came from like a lot of his ideas?
I mean, he came up with a lot of crazy ideas. A lot of them were ours too, but he would have wild ideas. Like there was one time which his suggestion of this kind of spawned an idea. He said, could you do a thing like where, maybe Jeff's standing on the edge of the ladder and it's like a slingshot, and then Matt, you jump off the top rope and you land on it, and then he goes catapulting through the air and he can like do a 450 or a flip and take somebody out. I was like, well, I don't think we can do that. This guy weighs 220 pounds. I said, like, that's kind of like cartoon stuff, Michael. I said, but maybe we can do something with that. And we ended up doing the deal where I would be fighting over the ladder and Jeff sat on the ladder and it would pop up and take me and the opponent out or wherever else.
Which was successful 99% of the time, although there was that one time with Joey Mercury that...
Yeah, well, get your hands up, brother. When you don't get your hands up, it can be dangerous.
Jonathan William wants to know, if you guys never became wrestlers, and this is for all three of you actually, what would you be doing right now? Jeff?
I think I would own a landscaping company, most likely.
Okay, Matt?
I would be an engineer.
Casey?
I'd probably be in the U.S. Army like my dad. That's probably what I would have done, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So TNA Slammiversary, UBS Arena, late July. Tickets are on sale now. You guys will have an interesting night that night with each other. It'll be a lot of fun. Before we wrap things up, though, real quick, what is your favorite memory of New York?
I go right to the first ever tag team tables match with the Dudleys, man, and that Swanton bomb out there in the crowd and putting Devon through the table to win the match, and Matt carrying me back to the ring. I mean, that's probably it for me.
That's a great memory too, because that was, we were on a big match, a marquee match in Madison Square Garden. It was our dream to wrestle. Also, the very first time we wrestled in Madison Square Garden, we just been on the road for maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, like less than a month.
Wow!
And I'll never forget driving the car. It was myself, Jeff, and Scotty Tuhati. And we drove through the Lincoln Tunnel. And when I came out on the other side, for the very first time driving in New York City, out of middle of nowhere, nothing country, North Carolina. Like there's a cab cutting me off, and it's like, if you don't slam on the brakes, they're gonna hit you. And I was like, Jesus Christ, New York City really is different from any other place, because it was a madhouse. I mean, that's what makes the city so unique and special.
I think I go back to that moment every time I go through the Lincoln Tunnel, man, because it was so like you're entering a new world or something, man.
And you loved it so much, you married a woman from New York City.
I did, but I had to bring her to where I was, and it's too quiet. It's too quiet for her. There's not enough horns, and there's not enough sirens. And
but you know what? You get the Bad Bunny going, and everything will be fine after that. Just get to blast the music.
It worked out. Once we got to the pandemic, she appreciated the quietness a lot more.
There you go. One more time, Casey Navarro, the Hardy Boys. Appreciate you guys coming by. Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you,
man.
Man.